Hello and welcome to Daily News Simplified, an answer to what, why, and how of newspaper analysis from the perspective of UPSC examination. Today we have taken up almost 8 topics from The Hindu, Indian Express, and Business Line newspaper dated 15th March 2024. That is New Delhi edition. Topics have been segregated into 2 categories. First is mains, where we are going to take recommendations of the Ramnath Kovind panel on simultaneous election. Secondly, we will take topic of open book examination as being mooted by CBSE recently. For prelim section, we will be taking a map-based question on Democratic Republic of Congo, Rodamine B, Mehrauli Complex of Delhi, government's ambitious scheme of Lakpati Didi, then copper production landscape in India, and there are 2 important reports published by UNDP, so we'll be looking at a brief summary of those reports also. So let us begin our discussion with the first topic of today, which featured on various pages of all the 3 newspapers. For your reference, we have picked up this picture from page number 1 of The Hindu newspaper. Now, government constituted the Ramnath Kovind panel for recommendation or checking into issue of simultaneous polls in India, the feasibility and what is required as a amendment to the constitution and what are the practical difficulties. So this panel suggested or recommended in favor of simultaneous polls. Apart from that, this panel also suggested to have local body election, that is municipality and panchayati raj institution, within 100 days of general election. So not only Lok Sabha and state assemblies, it also recommended to have election for PRIs and municipalities within 100 days of general election. So if you will refer to GS paper 2, the parliament and state legislature, apart from election commission itself, which is a constitutional body, has been mentioned. Election is an important topic from UPSC mains as well as prelims perspective. Here you can see in 2017, UPSC has asked a question based on simultaneous election itself. Plus, the issues related to election in India, the power of election commission, challenges, all those things are important. As you can see, the controversy over EVM, that is electronic voting machine, was also asked in the year 2018. So here in this discussion, what we will understand that what is the background of this simultaneous election, why this demand. Then we will see some arguments briefly into which are favoring the simultaneous election and some argument which are against the simultaneous election. And in light of that discussion, we will be looking at what this panel has recommended, whether it is addressing all those challenges or it is silent on most of them. Okay, so let us begin our discussion with looking at some brief background. So what is simultaneous election? Simultaneous is something that is happening together or on a parallel basis, just crude understanding. So simultaneous election is nothing but structuring the election system in India or election apparatus in India in such a manner that election to the parliament, basically the Lok Sabha or the lower house, and state legislatures synchronize together. So you can have the election to the parliament as well as election to the state legislature together. Recently, you might have heard about elections in Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Rajasthan and other state. But general election is due this year in 2024. And probably in the coming week, election commission will be declaring the dates. So just to bring them together is the simultaneous election. And this is not a new concept for India. The first 4 general election, that is 52, 57, 62 and 67. These were simultaneous election in India, where election to the Lok Sabha and a state legislature happened simultaneously. But again, due to the practical problems, due to the premature dissolution of some, you may say, uh, premature dissolution of some state legislative assemblies, and premature dissolution of Lok Sabha itself, the entire thing got disturbed. The sync got disturbed, and it goes on it goes on worsen with the time, to a limit that in 2019 only 4 states had the simultaneous election for their state legislative assembly with that of Lok Sabha. Now this demand is also not new. Election Commission way back in 1982 has recommended in its favor. So is true with the Law Commission, which recommended for simultaneous election way back in 1999. Some other panels, some other, including Niti Aayog, has supported this idea of having simultaneous election. So why there are so many arguments, or why there so many panels are recommending to have simultaneous election? That brings us to the second part of our discussion, the arguments in favor. So here in this diagram, this part is the arguments which are in favor, and this part is argument which are against the process of having simultaneous election. So first we will see the arguments which are in favor. Now you all know that model code of conduct. Now immediately when Election Commission will announce the dates of the election, there is a imposition of model code of conduct. Now problem is, immediately with the imposition of model code of conduct, government cannot announce any scheme, any new scheme, and it affects the machinery of the district at district level also. They are more focused towards the a better implementation of MCC, that is model code of conduct. And this model code of conduct, when simultaneous elections are not there, in some or the other part of country there is a model code of conduct, because our country is in perpetual cycle of election. Somewhere it is Lok Sabha election, somewhere it is a state assembly election, 2-3 states, then there are by-election, then there are panchayat election. Too many elections are there, so there is a perpetuation of election cycle. So the administration as well as government faces challenge in bringing new policy and their implementation. So you can summarize it as that this MCC, which usually remain for 45 to 60 days, it kind of creates a policy paralysis and governance deficit. Fine. Second issue is, so the proponent who argue in favor of simultaneous election, they say if we will be having the simultaneous election, there would be only one model code of conduct, imposition of only one model code of conduct for the span of 5 years. So rest of the time would be free for government to implement policy, to announce a scheme, and the apparatus at district level or commissionerate level or state level would be free from the imposition of MCC, and there would be no policy paralysis and deficit. So they argue that simultaneous elections should be there, so that the machinery, the governance machinery, gets suitable time to deliver. Finally, the second argument which is in favor is reduction in expenditure. Now, one estimate says that for one Lok Sabha election, for one general election, the expense is around 4,000 crore. Now, this is official estimate. Now, every party is spending some amount of money on their candidate. and candidates are spending some amount of money for winning the election. And generally, various studies, even election commission accept that these expenditure go well beyond the stipulated limit by law. Okay, they all breach this limit. So just to understand, it is not just about breaching the limit. The huge amount of money which is being spent in these elections from government level, like governance level, like arranging for personnels, arranging for machines, arranging for booths, everything. So they gave an estimate of 4,000 crore. Rest is individual expenditure, which is way above the stipulated limit. Now, this huge expenditure becomes a parking lot of black money. So, if there are multiple elections in the country, it becomes very easy to rotate the black money. So, proponents who are in favor of simultaneous elections say that if there would be only one election, then ECI, that is Election Commission of India, can put a concerted effort, an overview which would be more objective and more effective to curb the expenditure. First, that they have to spend, let's say 4,000 is the correct figure. So ECI has to spend 4,000 for once. Then ECI can also regulate or can monitor the rotation of black money in a proper manner, because for every now and then it doesn't require to again put in place its machinery to check the black money. So yes, it will be helpful in reducing the expenditure which is there due to the multiple elections, because again and again you have to move all those apparatus, all those personals for a new election. So if simultaneous election is there, there would be only one time expenditure, plus the curbing on black money. Fine. Next is this MCC. You saw that it creates a policy paralysis and governance deficit. Now, again, the next argument that the proponent of simultaneous election give is that if there are multiple election, so politicians remain in a campaign mode. So you have elected a representative, whether for state assembly or Lok Sabha. The main function is uh, to deliberate the policy matters, whether it is related to constituency or it is of national importance. But these leaders are stuck into the campaign mode. And when they are stuck into campaign mode, they end up making populist announcements, because the core agenda becomes to win the elections, not a long term vision. So if you have an election in, let's say, some state where job is not there, you will make a populist announcement that we will provide job. You are not going after the long term vision. And then there is an election to neighboring state where there is a issue of, let's say, liquor, illegal liquor. So there you are not making any announcement regarding job or anything. You are making announcement of liquor or electricity waiver, anything. You are making up populist claims. So first thing, your policy making, which is your core work, is getting affected, and you are ending up making a short term plan or a populist plan, which eventually you deliver to fail. Second is, whenever elections are there, there is a mass level of transfer of officers before the elections. Then officers from one state are being sent to another state as an observer, and other officer to monitor the election. Now this shifting goes on for months, and this somehow disturbs the normal working or whatever the role that has been given to these officers. It disrupts that, and ultimately it disturbs the or disrupts the normal public life and essential service delivery. So proponent of simultaneous elections say that if there are simultaneous election, then these policy maker would be more available for their core work, And so is true with the bureaucratic setup. These officers will be free for doing their job. Fine. Now, lastly, the proponents who favor simultaneous election, they argue that for every election, if there are multiple election in an year, so in order to mobilize the electorate, leader tend to make appeals on lines of religion, caste, and various other groups. They make many appeal which kind of act as a catalyst of fissure, bringing fissure in the society. So, argument those who are in favor of simultaneous election, they say that if there is only one election for a duration of 5 years, so this reinforcing of idea of division in society would be less. Otherwise, you will rake up the issue in month of January in one state, then in month of June, July, you will rake up the issue in other state. Again, it will have a national ramification. Then you will rake up the issue, repeat the issue in general election. So it kind of reinforces the idea of fissure in the society, and multiple elections are not going to help in that manner. So in order to minimize this polarization, it is very important to have simultaneous election, that whatever you want to say, whatever your appeal point is, just do it once and let it be at peace for rest of the 4 years. Fine. Now, these are the arguments which are in favor of simultaneous election, that this will help in mitigating all these issues. Then why so late in bringing it back on the track? Because of the some argument which are against the simultaneous election. Now, proponent who are against it say that the true federal character lies in the regional issue being separated from national issue. Now, if you will club both the elections, definitely regional issues will take a back seat, or they will be diluted, because national issues will take the front seat or the main highlight. Now, considering the level of literacy and awareness the Indian masses have, proponent who are against the idea of simultaneous election claim that, say that this idea is not good, because it will confuse the voter, and they will the regional issues will be hampered, and voting would be done on the national issues. Second challenge that they say, that practically the maintenance of 5 year tenure of, because you are going to have a general election for Lok Sabha and state election for various states. Now, it is impractical to have the concurrent 5 year tenure for all of them. They may face premature dissolution. So what will happen there? You will again end up, after spending this much money in one election, you will end up again derailing the process, and you will come back to square one. So they claim it impractical, and they say that there should be a thoughtful decision before taking any action on any such thought process. Thirdly, what we saw, that reduction in expenditure, but expert believe that there were around 10 million personnel involved in the 16th Lok Sabha election. Now, just imagine the amount of workforce that is required for simultaneous election. Now, expert believe that such a huge number of volunteer, worker, officers, security personnel would be, again, it would be tough for ECI to manage this huge number of manpower, plus the cost it will raise. Thirdly, putting the security forces, the huge chunk of security forces, basically the paramilitary forces and forces like CAPF forces, you will put a huge number into election duties and it will definitely hamper the national security. So again, their thought is that it is not going to lower down the expenditure and management, it is going to aggravate the problem of management. Thirdly, the issue has not been able to uh, see the light of the day because of lack of political consensus, because mostly the regional parties are opposing it due to the first reason, that regional issues will be diluted or take backseat. Secondly, opposition blames that these steps are going to favor the ruling party because they are in power and they are using this simultaneous election plank to remain in power in most of the state along with being in power at the center. So this is their opposition, and that is why there is lack of political consensus, and that is why the issue of simultaneous election is still there. Now, in light of all these arguments, this panel was created. We have given the detailed recommendation in the PDF. I will quickly highlight the important keywords which you should understand in order to understand the recommendation. Now, this panel has suggested overall 15 amendments which are divided into two bills. So this panel has proposed two kind of amendment. First is dealing with the transition to simultaneous election system, that how we will transition to simultaneous election system. And second bill is related to the election to the municipalities and panchayati raj, basically the electoral role. So let us see some important key term. The first is appointed date. Okay, so the first bill recommends insertion of new article 82A. And what does it say? It says that on the date of the first sitting of the House of the People, that is Lok Sabha, after a general election, the President will issue a notification bringing Article 82A into effect. And this date of notification will be called the appointed date. Now, what is it? Let's say this date is 1st July. We are taking just an imaginary date, 2024. Let's say appointed date is 1st July 2024. Government President has notified. Now, 82 subclause A2 says all the legislative assembly constituted in any general election held after the appointment date shall come to an end on the expiry of the full term of House of the People. Now, what is the full term? That is 5 years. Now, just we have taken the date as 1st July 2024. So this House of People, Lok Sabha, is going to complete its full term on 1st July 2029. So what recommendation says that all the legislative assembly for whom the election held after the appointed, whether they have completed 3 years, 2 years, 1 year, 4.5 years, they all will have the full term on this date. So this is not going to be applicable in 2024 itself. This is a plan. If accepted and made an act, or these amendments are made, this will be applicable from 2029 onwards. Okay, because after this general election, the date that will be notified by the president will be taken as the appointed date, and exactly after 5 years all the legislative assemblies along with the Lok Sabha will get dissolved, will stand dissolved, and then the election in 2029 will be a simultaneous election. This is the significance of this date. You can see here in third point, it clearly says the full term of legislative assembly shall end on same date as the end of the full term of the House of People constituted in general election. Further, it says the power of Parliament under Article 327, which deals with provisions of state election and Lok Sabha, it should also include conduct of simultaneous election. Now, for these amendments, this panel has recommended that this is matter of concern of Parliament itself. So, there is no requirement of ratification by the state. That is ratification by the half of the states. There is no requirement of it. Simply Parliament can amend these provisions. Further, we had seen the issue of practicality of 5-year terms. Now, for that, another important term which is coined by this panel is unexpired term. So, it has recommended that Lok Sabha or State Assembly that replaces the previous one will serve only for remaining unexpired term. So, if a legislative assembly get dissolves, let's say after 4 years, so the by-election that is going to happen, the new legislative assembly will only assume office for 1 year. Then it will stand dissolved again. So this is unexpired term. The 1 year is unexpired term. Another important thing that the second bill which talks about the municipal and panchayat election and single electoral roll which is to be made by Election Commission of India, not a state election commission. So there will be a unified electoral roll for general election, that is for lower house, for state legislative assembly, and for panchayati raj and municipality. And in this regard, they say there would be a single electoral roll for every territorial constituency for election in the House of People, legislature of a state or municipality or panchayat. The electoral roll shall be made by the Election Commission in consultation with State Election Commission. So here, if these amendments are made, State Election Commission will assume recommendatory or consulting role. It will not be having any role in preparing these electoral rolls apart from the consultation that ECI wants. Fine. So that is all from this panel's recommendation. You can refer to PDF for detailed article and subclause what it is going to mention. These were the key terms which I mentioned to you. And you can just go through this PDF while it is to see whether government is going to make these amendments or not. And then we will take up the discussion further about pros and cons, whatever has been given the recommendation of the panel. So the next news article which featured on page number 11 of the Indian Express newspaper. Now CBSE is mooting the idea of having open book examination, which would be a transition from a traditional examination which was based on rote learning and mugging up facts. So CBSE is mooting the idea, and there is a debate whether this step would be good or this is not the time to bring this change, or the concept of OBE, that is open book examination, whether it is sustainable or not, all those things. So this article talks about various aspects of it, that is what are the arguments, how it would be beneficial, and how it would be challenge, it would pose a challenge, all these things. So in this discussion we will be covering what are the benefits, merits of open book examination, and what are the challenges associated with the open book examination. So in your GS paper 2, social justice part, topic of education has been mentioned, and here you can see how in a repeated manner UPSC has been asking question in mains based on National Education Policy 2020. They have asked the question. They have asked, in fact, two question based on New Education Policy of 2020, and in 2015 itself they have asked a question based of quality of higher education. So let us discuss the pros and cons, that is argument in favor and against the open book test. Now this change is basically aimed at bringing or assessment of critical thinking of Indian student. Now you know that the characteristic of Indian education system and one of the basic demerit of Indian education system is to rely on the rote learning concept. Uh, an examination where you have to cram up the things, you have to learn everything, facts, data, and questions will be framed like in a manner that you have to just write all those uh, crammed up data by the help of your memory skill. And experts believe that this is not the right way of teaching, at least in 21st century, where world is moving towards uh, promoting more imaginative and creative thinking. Okay, so the first argument that comes in favor of open book test is the it will enhance the critical thinking and application. It will be a shift from rote learning to understanding. Students can use the resources, they will have resources. All they have to do is to analyze that what part of those books are important, what has been asked, what should, how answer should be framed. So they should have a better problem solving approach with the help of available information, which is true in your real life also. If you are going to work on a project, you have access to various websites, various links, various documents, various journals. So you use them to understand the nuances of that particular project, and then you prepare your project file. So that should be the training also, that if you are going to do something in future which is going to rely on resources, then definitely you should be trained in such a manner that your critical thinking and application of what you have read or what you have been taught is important. So from rote learning to understanding, this is the first benefit. Second, definitely, if you are not relying on memorizing, if you are not pressurizing students to just cram up everything and get great marks in examination by just writing everything that you have crammed up, this pattern of examination definitely will give a conducive environment which would be very good for overall mental well-being of the student. They will be more relaxed. It will help in their in improving their thinking capability. They will be they will have more time to invest on their co-curricular activities, and this will help in their overall mental well-being. Thirdly, now international competitiveness assessments like PESA, that program for international student assessment. Now such international assessment have highlighted the challenges pertaining to rote learning patterns methods in India. They have highlighted that students are unable to solve the application based question. They are very good at doing maths and answering questions which are directly from their textbook, but if they are being asked an application based question, let's say for example they will be shown some model and they will be asked that which theory it relates to, they cannot relate. because they have not been taught in that manner. Their practical application knowledge is zero. So such assessments like PESA rate them poorly, and promoting such open book examination will definitely raise the competitive level of these students as per the standard of international communities. Now, apart from all these arguments are in favor, let's discuss the challenges. First challenge is systematic readiness and training. Now, CBSE earlier in 2013 and 14 tried to bring the same thing, but it faced opposition from all stakeholders, including teachers and parents, and they had to roll it back. Apart from these opposition, when you are going to assess the students on a new pattern or by a new method, definitely you should have a training. The teachers need a training to do things in a innovative and imaginative manner. Secondly, to frame the questions. Earlier, you will pick a textbook, you will read the content, and you will frame a question. Now, it would be a challenge to create questions which are again, which will instigate the creative thinking of a student. So, in order to create such innovative questions, you need to develop a system altogether. Next is, so all these investments are required, and correctly to say, nothing is in place of that sort. From teachers training to question making, nothing is in place. So directly bringing open book test will be more, you may say, it will backfire rather than it will help a student. Okay, because there would be a chaotic environment. Nobody will be knowing how to go ahead with this. Now, author says that for open book examination, you have to create a tailor-made assessment program for different school, for different children, for different group of children. You have to create tailor-made assessment program. Now, this requires autonomy and flexibility, true, so that you can design your program. But this autonomy and flexibility is bound to bring the regional disparity, because those who have access to resources will are going to definitely create a better assessment system, and those who are lacking resources altogether are not going to have a better assessment system. So definitely a student will suffer, school will suffer, teachers will suffer. So author says that this autonomy and flexibility, on one hand it is going to help the teacher and student, but on another hand, if not monitored well, it will create a disparity. Further, it says that earlier we used to assess the student on the basis of their performance in examination, in competitive examination or school level examination, which was not comprehensive. Now, author says again, this critical thinking is just one aspect of a student's life or a student's career. So again, moving forward from one to another, you are again stuck. You are going to stuck with monochromatic way of assessment, which will not cover the entire spectrum of students' caliber and potential. Further, author says that definitely it is going to make a situation where students will rely more on resources and will not work upon their mental skills. And further, it says that it may provide a conducive environment for dishonesty in academics, because if you are not monitoring it, then definitely it provides a scope for bringing dishonesty in academics. So author says, though this is a very good step, which is a positive moving step from a earlier pattern of method of examination, but things should be critically analyzed, and all loopholes should be cured before moving on to such steps or decision. So that's all from main section. Let us move to discuss the prelim section. Now, first topic for prelim section is inspired from this news article which featured on page number 12 of the Hindu newspaper. Now, there are news of clashes between Congolese army and M23 rebel group, which is backed by Uganda and Rwanda. Both are neighboring countries of DRC, that is Democratic Republic of Congo. Now, entire world community is again under stress because of ongoing conflict in Russia, Ukraine, and Gaza. Now, this has emerged, and UPSC has been asking question persistently on the basis of important places or conflict zones which featured in news articles. Like in 2023, they have asked a question based on these location, which include North Kivu, Nagorno-Karabakh, and Kherson. And we have taken a similar question based on the location of Democratic Republic of Congo. So, before attempting the question, let us look at some key facts related to prelims. Now, this entire episode has a background in the Rwandan genocide of 1994, where Hutus militia kind of persecuted the ethnic minority of Tutsis, and a huge number of Tutsis were killed by these Hutus militias, and from just to evade the prosecution and arrest, these Hutus militia, the people belonging to Hutus, just crossed the border to Congo. Now, the news article is related to this region, which is North Kivu and South Kivu. Now, this is a resource-rich region, and this group, that is M23 rebel group, is created by Tutsis as a hedge against the Hutu militias. But now this M23 group has came against the Congo army altogether. Now these two are fighting, and this fight is mainly due to for the control of this resource-rich region of North Kivu and South Kivu. Now let us quickly look at the geographical location of DRC. Here you can see in this map, this is country located in Central Africa, and it is not landlocked, because if you will see this part, this 40-kilometer coastline opens up to Atlantic Ocean. So this is not a landlocked country, and it is a second largest country only after Algeria on the African continent. And this capital, Kinshasa, is located on Congo River. So now let us try to solve this question, which asks you to find the correct statement. Statement 1 says it is the largest landlocked country in African continent. Now this is incorrect on two counts, because it is neither landlocked nor it is the largest, because largest is Algeria. So the first statement is incorrect. Second statement says the March 23, that is M23 movement, was formed by ethnic communities of DRCs to defend their interest against Hutus. Now you have just seen here that this statement is correct. Third statement says the Kivu conflict revolves around the control over the natural resources in eastern provinces of Congo. Yes, it lies here on sharing the area sharing border with Uganda and Rwanda. So yes, it lies in eastern provinces of Congo. So as you have to find the correct statement, answer would be B, that is only 2. Now, this news article featured on the page Hindu Science and it talks about a chemical Rhodamine B. Now, recently, various state governments, including Tamil Nadu and Kerala, they have banned the use of Rhodamine B because by all norms, this is not that good for the health of human life, for humans. So they have banned it, and this news article is all about that why these states have banned this. Now, important chemical which feature in news are recurrent theme in UPSC. As you can see in 2022, they have asked a question based on polyethylene terephthalate, and on the similar line, we have created a question based on Rhodamine B. Now, Rhodamine B is a water soluble chemical compound. Water soluble chemical compound which is fluorescent xanthine dye, which has various application in various fields. So now we have seen the state government of Kerala and Tamil Nadu have banned the sale of cotton candy, which uses this Rhodamine B for the pink color because it has a remarkable pink color altogether. So it has use in various industries. We will see later on. Now, this chemical is considered as substandard and unsafe under the FSSI Act of 2006. What are the implication or the you may say impact on human health? It causes cell death. It can cause allergies, which can manifest in form of irritation of lip, tongue, eyes, and also causes upper respiratory allergies. It damages the cerebellum tissues and brainstem, kidney, liver, and increases the risk of stomach tumor and cancer. So application is, as you heard, that it is a dye having a pink color. If you can recall the image of cotton candy which are being sold on the streets, so it acts as a dye where in textile industry, in leather industry, plastic industry, wherever you will need a pink color, this dye can be used. As a food dye, just know that cotton candy and sauces, various sauces, especially used in Chinese food making, they are being used. Also used as a tracer dye to find leakage in pipeline because of they are soluble. They get mixed with water, and this pink color can tell you where is the leakage or there is contamination. It can also use for checking the direction and rate of flow of rivers and lakes also. So it has multiple use, including the fluorescence microscopy. So now let us see the question and try to solve it. It says, consider the following application of Rhodamine B. Which of the above are application of Rhodamine B? Water soluble food dye, correct. Fluorescence microscopy, correct. Trace pollutants in water system, correct. Detect leaks in pipeline, correct. It is used for all these four purposes, so answer would be D, that is all four. The next question is based on this featured article which is from page number 9 of the Hindu newspaper. It is about the Mehrauli. Mehrauli Complex, and Mehrauli Complex is one of the 7 cities which together comprise the present day Union Territory of Delhi. Now, along with Mehrauli, there is Tughlakabad, there is Siri Fort Complex, there is Shah Jahanabad, there is Firozabad, then Jahanpana and Deenpana. So these are the name of, along with Mehrauli, these are the name of 7 cities. Together, altogether, the present day, the Union Capital Territory and the National Capital Territory of Delhi, that is NCT Delhi. So recently it was revamped due to the G20 summit. So this feature article talks about the feature of the Mehrauli. The major architectural structure have been mentioned in the PDF. You can go through them. And why we have picked up this topic? Because UPSC also asked question based on important historical sites, mainly which are termed as or tagged as UNESCO World Heritage Site, which is true for this Mehrauli complex also. It is also a UNESCO World Heritage Site. You can see here in 2014, UPSC asked a question based on Ibadat Khana. So we have taken a question based on some architectural feature of Mehrauli. You have to identify the incorrect statement. Now, first statement says Ghiyasuddin Balban's tomb in Mehrauli is the first site where true arc and dome was introduced. Now, this statement is correct. As you can see here, this tomb is housed in the building Darul Aman, which is heaven of safety, English translation, and as the name suggests, it served as a heaven from debt collectors. It is the first site where the true arc and dome, which is a prominent feature of Indo-Islamic architecture, which was introduced by Turks. So Turks introduced arc and dome in Indian architecture. So this is the first site where it has been used. Second statement says during Sikandar Lodi's reign, a stepwell known as Rajon Ki Bauli in Mehrauli was constructed. Now this statement is again correct because it was constructed in 1506. It was commissioned by Daulat Khan, who was an administrator of Lodi dynasty. Now the third statement, which says that Zafar Mahal, built in red sandstone in Mehrauli, was commissioned by Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan. Now this is incorrect because as the name suggests, it was made by Mughal Emperor, the last Mughal Emperor, Bahadur Shah Zafar II. So it was summer palace of Mughal Emperor Bahadur Shah Zafar II. The Mahal part was made by Akbar Shah II, while the entrance gate was reconstructed by Bahadur Shah Zafar. So as you had to find the incorrect statement, our answer would be A, that is only one. Okay, rest two statements are correct. Now, next question is based on this ambitious scheme of Lakpati Didis. Now, recently in interim budget, Government of India has shown its interest or plans to expand this scheme. Further, in latest version of Man Ki Baat, our Honorable Prime Minister has also declared that this Lakpati Didi scheme is going to act as a catalyst for women empowerment. Okay, so every important scheme from the social justice perspective is important for UPSC prelims, especially as you can see they have asked in 2023 itself the Janari Suraksha Yojana, and they have asked you to identify the correct statement about the uh, details of the report. So we have taken up a question based on the features of Lakpati Didi program, and you have to identify the correct statements. Now, first statement says it is an initiative under Ministry of Women and Child Development, which is incorrect. As you can see here, the Ministry of Rural Development is the nodal ministry. Now, the second statement says its objective is to shift the focus from social and financial inclusion to entrepreneurial success. Now, this is correct statement because as you can see that its aim is to catalyze economic empowerment and financial independence among women. Fine. So this is the second statement is correct. Now third statement says the program is aimed at training of 1 lakh women in self-help group. Now this is incorrect. The Lakpati term is about their income. So here you can say that their income, they are going to ensure at least 1 lakh per annum per household. It has nothing to do with the number. Number is 3 crore, which was earlier, I told you, government has announced the expansion, which was earlier 2 crore. Now it is 3 crore. Fourth statement says that Drone Didi project is a subset of this scheme. Now this statement is correct, that along with along with the skill training, where they will train the women for various skills like plumber, job of a plumber, LED bulb maker. Drone Didi is a subset of this scheme. What they will do here? Under this scheme, drones will be provided to approximately 15,000 women SHGs for agricultural activities. Now, these drones have the potential to revolutionize agriculture by enabling precision farming, crop monitoring, and pest control. So, as you had to find the correct statements, this statement is also correct. So, our answer would be B, that is 2 and 4th. These two statements are correct. So, only 2. Now, this news article, which featured on page number 8 of Business 9 newspaper, gives a silver lining for the copper industry in India. Now, according to this news, the Kutch Copper Limited, which is a venture of Adani Group, is going to be operationalized this year. And after it will start the production, India can turn into a net copper exporter by financial year 2026 from the position of an importer. So all these ore and minerals and associated issues with Indian economy are important from prelims perspective. As you can see here, they have asked a question in 2021 about copper smelting plants. So we have taken up a prelims specific question based on the copper itself. Here we have included some properties and some properties related to some facts related to the production of copper in India. So let us quickly look into what copper is. It is a malleable and ductile metallic element. What is malleable? That it can be hammered, it can be given any shape without breaking or cracking, and ductility is that it can be drawn into thin wire without being broken. So you will see the copper wire are very famous in our daily life and we all are aware of it, and it is an excellent conductor of heat and electricity, as well as being corrosion resistant and antimicrobial. So brownish in color, as you might know. It is found solely in igneous and metamorphic rock. So statement 1 here you can see solely in sedimentary rock is incorrect. Fine. The second statement say Indian copper industry as percent of world copper market is 13%. Now this percentage is in term of consumption of refined copper per annum. Now Indian industry is not having share of 13% but only 3%. And this news is about that after the production starts at Adani Kutch Copper Limited, it will go up and India will be in position of exporting the copper. So this is 3%, not 13%. Third statement says Jharkhand is the largest producer. Now this statement is again incorrect. Okay. Madhya Pradesh with 53% of the total production is the largest producer, followed by Rajasthan. Jharkhand produces only 4% of copper. So as you had to find the correct statement and all the statements are incorrect, your answer would be D, that is none. That brings us to the last question of today's discussion, and this is based on this important report which has been published by UNDP. So UPSC has been asking question based on various reports, as they have asked in 2016 about Global Financial Stability Report. So let us quickly look into the key findings of these two reports, that is Human Development Index and Gender Inequality Index. So in Human Development Index, India has improved its rank from 135 of last year to 134. Now we know UPSC has also asked prelims question based on the criteria, indicators of SDI, that is life expectancy, education, gross national income per capita, all these things. We have been tested on all this indicator, and India scored 0.644, which is medium human development category. Talking about neighbors, we only fared well if we compared with Nepal. If we compare with Nepal and Pakistan, rest of our neighboring countries have better SDI rankings, that is Sri Lanka, China, Bhutan and Bangladesh. Okay, so Switzerland topped the ranking this time. Now gender inequality index, we improved much better than what we improved in SDI. We have a rank of 108 out of 193 countries. The key dimensions are reproductive health, empowerment and labor market, but still it is one of the largest gender gap market, especially in labor force participation, where there is a difference of 47.8%, where women LFPR lies at 28.3, male LFPR lies at 76.1%. This is according to this report, this data. So you can quote this in examination. Now about UNDP, we know that it is a UN agency to help people build a better life. Basically works in the field of eradicating poverty and reducing inequality. Main focus area is sustainable development, democratic governance and climate and disaster resilience. Some key reports which are published by UNDP are Global Multidimensional Poverty Index, Gender Inequality Index and Human Development Index. Now here you have been given 5 reports. You have to identify that which are published by UNDP. Now you all know that Gender Inequality Index and Global Multidimensional Poverty Index, that is second and third, are published by UNDP. So your answer would be A, that is only 2. Which organization publish other report? International Migration Outlook is published by OECD, that is Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. The Gender Parity Index is published by UNESCO, and Global Social Mobility Index is published by World Economic Forum. So that's all for today's discussion. If you have any doubt, you can drop your message in the comment box. Our team will get back to you as soon as possible. If you like our initiative, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Stay tuned for more such update. Thank you very much.